Hey, what's up, everybody? I wanted to take a minute and welcome you to the Donut Shop podcast. I had a suggestion from somebody who watches the show and thought it was a good idea. I'm always open to suggestions about the show. And he mentioned that I never usually introduce myself or at least tell you about who I am. And with adding new fans or new viewers all the time, it might be a good idea to go over that. So my name is Justin. I've been a police officer for 20 years. I'm actually getting ready for retirement. I'm going to retire and start doing this podcasting stuff full time. During my career, I've worked on road patrol. I've been a crisis negotiator. Did that for about 8 years. It was great training. Learned a lot about mental health and working with people. I was a school resource officer. I worked in the elementary school and then in the high school. I did that for 6.5 years. Then I also moved into the community resource unit and public information officer unit. So I did a lot of community engagement. I ran our social media for the department. And then I also spoke with the news. Kind of leads into this, even though I was a podcaster before I was in that unit. I've been doing podcasting since about 2012. I started with a soccer podcast with some friends for a local soccer team. We had a great time. It was a little different than this, obviously, but I was on the mic and doing that kind of stuff. Then eventually in 2020, started this podcast with a friend of mine, Nick, and he's no longer on the show, but the show drives on, and here we go. Basically, it's a cop sitting in a donut shop and someone interesting walks in. They don't always have to be law enforcement based. As a law enforcement officer, we know when we're in uniform, pretty much everybody comes up and talks to us. Especially when we're trying to take a break and eat dinner or eat a lunch or something like that. It's not usually a bother, and sometimes you get interesting stories out of it. So that's kind of where I created the premise for this podcast and what it is today. Now let's get into the episode.
Calling all units, calling all units. Donut Shop has a fresh dozen. Go ahead and take a 1040.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Donut Shop podcast. I'm sitting here with the guy who I've been afraid and scared to have on the show. Maybe I needed to wait till I was retired. I don't know, whatever excuse he'll tell you that I made up of why he hasn't been on the show. This is Mike Dilks, otherwise AKA known as Copville, the Copville. The enemy of all active police officers in law enforcement today. No, not really. But what's up, bro?
I appreciate you having me on. Finally, I'm the last. I think you're right. I'm the last one in the network, I think, to be invited on. Rightfully so, because I definitely say things that.
The last active guy.
Yes.
Because I don't think I've had Nick. Nick from Good Cop, Bad Cop.
You had to wait for him too, I think.
We're not going to call him active.
No, I appreciate it, dude. I really, like I said, enjoy what you do, and I know I seem like wild and crazy, but I'm actually not like that in real life. You'll get to see. I'm not like that in real life.
Yeah, no, we're going to talk to Mike normal. Like I know I can get him, I don't try to get him, but Tyler tries to get him piped up and hyped up for Anti-Hero. We just finished up an episode of Anti-Hero Broadcast. Found on that YouTube channel. So Mike is a co-host, but I ran into Mike a long time ago at work, and but we didn't really know that, or he was on the same crime scene as me. So I was a brand new PIO, and we had his former agency. We were tracking a murderer.
Yes.
And I rolled out there with the command bus and as a PIO, like doing kind of like what I do now with podcasting, like jack of all trades. And
you guys did way different down there. And that's funny that was in passing. Yeah, it was a murder-suicide where the suspect fled to South Florida to attempt to kill the wife's family.
But he had already killed.
He killed her. He strangled his wife.
Her.
Wild scene too. He not only did he strangled her to death on the toilet. He right before he left the room, he wrote on the wall time of death like 1:02 a.m. and signed his name. And he put confession doing his name. And he took off and he was we started to do a ping on his phone. And he started turning his phone on and off, and it ended up down where you are. They tracked him, and then he pulled into the back of a
rooms to go
and shot himself in the chest.
Yeah. Our guys were, swarming, and I mean, it was patrol guys. Like it was the real cops and the patrol guys, and our guys were looking, and they knew the pings were pretty current. Like, it's always, that always comes up and we're like, where was he? And then we go and we check film and it was really 30 minutes ago and the ping finally comes back. But the pings were, what we were getting, at least through the telephone game, was like, hey, it's here. He's circling around Sawgrass Mills Mall. So one of our guys ends up getting behind him. And crazy thing is they find a rifle in the van. He was driving a van.
Multiple handguns and rifles.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, this guy was ready to go down and blaze of glory.
What was crazy about that, I'll go back to that scene, was a pucker factor is when patrol guys up where I was didn't clear the house properly. So I put an initial bulletin out for I believe he had a Nissan car.
Oh,
so we do a whole bulletin for a Nissan car. I'm a detective. I get called in. It was a weekend. And I walk into the scene, and scene's supposed to be secured. Everybody's, all the road guys have searched everything. I'm going around the house kind of like doing a secondary. This is a secure crime scene. I open the garage door, and the Nissan is staring me in the face in the garage.
I mean, did you think for the first second, holy shit, there he is?
I thought he was going to be, my mind was, holy fuck, he's in the car, either going to shoot me dead, which I panicked and jumped back, or he killed himself and maybe he's in the car.
Yeah.
But I'm like, no, the patrol guys never cleared the garage. We had a bulletin bolo out for hours for the wrong vehicle.
Yeah.
Come to find out, he took a van. He was in a van. It was like a minivan.
I think it was
or
a
something.
silver or white minivan.
Yes, but so that has how that started. I'm like, the car's here. I'm like holding the door. Am I going to get shot in the chest? Of course, wasn't wearing a vest because I was a cool detective at the time. I had my church clothes on. But no, then they ended up down there. He had taken a rifle, handguns, and he had threatened to go kill the rest of her family. And we ended up. And what's crazy about your area is, if he would have turned left or right, he would have been in a different jurisdiction. That little area of the Sunrise and all that is like 4 jurisdictions bump into each other.
Yeah. So he pulled into the back of there, and our guys kind of stayed back a little bit, just to kind of contain, because now he had pulled into the mall parking lot area or the auxiliary stores. And so they kind of contained, and they were setting up perimeters on the mall just to know at least the net was there in case he drove out or if there was like a chase. And the one guy behind him was like, yeah, I heard a pop.
Yep.
But we still did our surround and call out type idea, pulled up with a Bearcat, put a drone up in the air and kind of came in on the front glass. One of the problems with that was they weren't using, the guys were bitching, and I'm a drone pilot, but I wasn't used for that because of the many hats. And the guys were bitching. I was like, you got to put on an ND filter, guys. Like, because that'll kill the glare off of the glass. And the glass they were hitting the windshield with the drone, and they just couldn't see inside of it. And I'm like, ND filter, bro, ND filter. And that's the photographer in me and stuff that's going to help you, or the polarizer lens. We have a polarizer lens. And but ultimately, the cat he'd been in there for probably 30 minutes by the time
met and didn't know it.
I think they put a robot into the door of they tried to use the robot to open the door of the van. Like, they were pulling out all the toys.
The other thing that was crazy, which we didn't do, is you guys, once they're dead, your medical examiner comes right to the scene and just rolls them out and does the whole dead body right there on the side of the road. I'm like, this is wild. They put up like the barriers of like the walls of the like cloth walls, and then pulled him out, took all his clothes off, did the whole like initial, and I'm like, and where I'm obviously, we guys are busier, way busier. They don't do any of that. They just bag and tag and then go to the ME's office, and then we attend the autopsy. But you got that down there, they did like a mini autopsy right on the side of the road, determined cause of death right in the parking lot, bagged him back up and took it. I was like, this is crazy, way different.
Yeah. So we were like, so that's what I'm saying. We were on that scene, just didn't know him. I think I remember seeing like the 2 detectives that showed up. I was like, oh, this is their case, bro. Like, that's cool, man.
Big case for us, man.
Yeah.
That was a big one.
That was big time.
I think that was my second or third homicide that I worked
in
my career. So that was a wild one.
Yeah. So I mean, that's awesome. And so that's just kind of to explain. And Mike's told it a million different ways on a million different podcasts, because that's the game we're in and stuff. But you've got prior service in the Army, and then you became a police officer.
Yeah. I did 3 years United States Army, 96 and 99. And part of that, me going in the military, was I was promised a job as a Vero Beach police officer when I got back. Yeah. So I was a young, dumb kid. I'm like, what am I going to do? Never dreamed of being a cop. I was not the guy that ever said, I want to be a cop. I grew up in the outskirts in New Jersey, in like the fields in the like cornfields, not far from Atlantic City, where there was some action. But I saw a cop once every 3 or 4 months. One would drive by the house, like, oh, there goes a cop. Like, didn't see him. Never thought about it. I ended up in Vero, down in Florida. Guy says, hey, you go do 3 years in the Army, I'll hire you. Got out, he became a cop at a city. Immediately realized I wanted more action, moved up to a sheriff's office and ended up doing just shy of 20 years at the sheriff's office. And, I won't bore everybody. I did it all. U.S. Marshals Task Force, DA Task Force, narcotics, street crimes, SWAT. I kind of did like you, like all hats, I progressed, but I always came back and you joked at just the road guys. But my favorite job, having hindsight of now being retired just at almost year and a half, is road patrol was the most fun I ever had. That was the best job. The regular calls, all the other stuff seems fun and cool. And when you're in it, you think it is. But hindsight of 23 years total, my most fun was just hanging with the guys, doing road patrol stuff.
Yeah, because I mean, you're running with like a crew. You've got a little clique. Hopefully, you get along with the squad mates and stuff. You go to briefing and like I tell it because I was off the road for several years or many years. Like the school resource officer stuff, which you can make fun of me again whenever you want, and then the community ice cream patrols and the PIO stuff, all that stuff, and then I came back to the road and when I was in those units, I always had the notion, especially during COVID, which was crazy, to remind us all upstairs, the upper echelon of police department work, tipping our pinkies out, that look, man, these guys are the ones that are out here knocking on the doors. Right. At that point, you were looking for a germ that was going to kill all of us allegedly. Yeah. And so that it's like remind these guys. And so thankfully our department did they cycled through with these like mental health days to kind of like every 2 weeks, like let a guy take a day off without burning sick time or comp time or vacation. And, it's helpful, but you can't kind of turns towards which I think we'll get into in a little bit or whatever about how the administrations forget.
Yeah, but I will say this, and I know I bust your balls about the school resource, but you come from the original road patrol generation where that was there was no school resources when he started.
Right.
There was community affairs, but everybody, it's kind of like I look at like the Marine Corps, and I was in the Army, but the Marine Corps, everybody in the Marine Corps is infantry.
Right.
Then they go do their other job. In my opinion, the older generation of us that started when we did, everybody became a really good street cop, and then they went and did. So when I know I'm only kidding, but when I bust your balls about school resource, I know from just based on your generation, you did street dogs. I said it. You did street stuff, and you were a cop, and then you went on to do that. What I get on now is where my knock is when you hire somebody who's got 3 months or come straight into SRO,
right,
and they don't have the patrol experience to go with the specialty unit or the community affairs. That's where I look at it as dangerous. But I know based on being around you, you were a real cop. You did real cop stuff. You worked your time on the road, and then you did those other positions. So I really, it's fun to bust your balls, but I don't look at you like some SRO. Where I do, some cops now are some SRO because they never did any domestic violence calls or struggling at night. They just went straight in, and that to me is dangerous. And it's not the same.
I mean, I know in my first 5 years, we'd always say, "Oh, the sorry road officer," because there were those, and we had really good guys, but then we had a few that were sorry road officers that were in that job. And when I got the position was when we worked hard to get a mayor elected. That part of his platform was like, "Hey, the elementary guys aren't going to share schools anymore. Like, we're going to have a dedicated officer in each and every school." And this was it for Broward County, where I worked, obviously before Stoneman Douglas as a benchmark. And so our city had that. And then when I went and worked at the high school, I was banging the drum for, we need 2 guys in here, because I got 2,000 kids that are as big as me.
But dude, working a school, high school is worse than working a fucking zone, man. That's crazy work.
Because you're all levels of a department in the high school. So I was like, bro, we need 2 people, because at one point when they went down to 1 guy for 2 elementaries, they pulled the second high school guy out too. And so and then sadly Stoneman Douglas happens, and then the state puts that into effect, which is just, it's the smart way to do it, because you can split schools up, because high schools are inherently dangerous, or can be inherently dangerous. But it was a good time, and we go back and forth on the live streams and stuff like that, of course. And I'm going to flick them off knowing that I was an SRO.
Yeah, I took a shot today earlier. I don't know when this will air, but I took one at him today.
Yeah, it's a good time. It's a good time, but it's something to always remind people, and that's what you've taken up the mantle with this. And I mean, I don't mean to gloss over the career or anything like that, but you're out there and you're everywhere. And if anybody wants to learn about it, you can learn about it
1,000 times.
Let's talk about opinions and let's talk about thoughts. Absolutely. And so Copville as a meme page, and as a social media page, has really kind of taken up a mantle of trying to explain to people like where the job should be.
Mhm.
And like, I'm going to take a quick break, but let's explain where you came from if people don't already know. So we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Yo, what's up, guys? I want to do a follow-up. I used to run an ad or commercial for my friends at HPTRT, Human Performance, talking about like testosterone therapy or, you know, all that kind of stuff. I finally have been, I've been using it. I've been, you know, a member of the program for over 6 months now. I got my second round of labs, and I'm going to be upfront and honest with you. When I first was tested, I was at 330. I'm a 43-year-old man, and my test was at 330. I didn't even go through the injections. I'm going through a couple different types of prescription pills that they have to help me out. You know, all legal, all on the up and up. But after this 6 months, my test has gone up to 910. You know, as somebody who works out 3 to 4 times a week, you know, wants to stay young, wants to stay healthy with all this stuff. It's helped with all kinds of stuff, like my focus, continuing to get me like the best sleep that I've ever gotten. I've enjoyed it. So go over to hp-trt.com and check it out. You can bring, if you've had lab work within the last 6 months, you can bring your own lab work and they'll start you up. If you haven't, then you pay for the lab work through them. Or you can just go to your own doctor and do your lab work through your normal insurance, which I'm sure has a zero copay, if anything. And use the code DSP20, and that'll get you 20% off forever, as long as you're a member, as long as you use Human Performance. So it's a great program, good people over there. So go ahead and get it done. And if you've been thinking about it, or if you've looked at recent tests in your testosterone and you want a boost of that kind of stuff, get into it, because you can also get the testosterone through them as well as peptides and other things. So DSP20 will get you 20% off. Good luck. All right, we're back. So talking about meme page and like what you're trying to promote, like where did you come from? You've got the chops of what you're beating up, right?
Yeah. So I look at it like I did most guys that do the job, and I'm a little different. I never mind being on camera, even like PIO stuff. We kind of small, like that case, I think I came back and did an interview. I was comfortable with a camera. I was comfortable talking. So I was comfortable with making the jokes, being the kid that moved his desk out in the hallway or making. So as I progressed through my career, I finally got the admin shuffle. I got hosed, in my opinion. So the Copville thing started as, let me start to knock or give a meme look at these guys that are getting screwed over on IAs, getting in pursuits and getting in trouble. So that's really, it started when I got, as a secret, nobody knows me. It started when I got demoted from sergeant back to detective for a traffic stop, use of force call. And I was like, I'm going to start making fun of my own agency. And I started making memes, and I started 10-8 memes. I don't know if you remember him. He's gone now. 10-8 memes is like one of the first meme pages I followed. I started sending them to him. And I was just me. He's like, bro, these are pretty good. Like, and he used like 1 or 2 of them. And I'm like, oh, cool. So he's like, you should start a page. And I'm like, I don't know anything about this garbage. So I was like, okay, let me go. Well, Hoodville is one of those popular Instagram pages. Hoodville, all about the hood.
They show like,
Huge.
hood
so
stuff.
I was like, let me come up with a name that's very quick and to the point. Copville. So you got Hoodville that does all the hood stuff. Copville. I was like, I'll try it. So I made a quick logo. I actually used
which was the badge and the clown.
Which actually I got threatened for copyright. Not the one I have now. There was an original one that said Bozo PD. And somebody designed it, not thinking 2 years ahead to a business. I'm like, I'll just grab, like if I saw yours, I'm like, I'm just going to grab this logo. So I started slapping this logo on me.
You pulled it off of Google.
So I'm laying in bed at like 1 a.m. I'm like 13,000 followers in, and I'm secret. Admin has no idea it's me. I'm blasting my own agency in memes, and I'm talking all this shit. And I get a message that says, you're using our logo patch. You need to take it all down or we're going to sue you. And I'm thinking, dude, if they sue me, they're going to find out who I am. I'm like panicking. I'm like, I'm going to get.
And this was from your agent?
This is from the person who had made the patch.
The Bozo patch?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm like, oh my God, he's going to sue me. They sue me, they're going to know who I am. They're going to find out. They're going to get my IP address. And I'm like, so I absolutely have 13,000 followers. Delete every meme. You know how that kills the algorithm. Delete every meme. Met some dude, and I was kind of like kicking other logos around, and then came up with the new one. I'm like, you know what? as I went on, I'm like, fuck this dude. Like, I'll make one that looks almost like his
Yeah.
and have it look very similar and say my own thing.
The 20% change is a
So
parody.
then I changed it to the Clowntown PD, made it what it is, and went back to doing it. And that was, and then I started seeing, it grew fast, and I got a lot of hate from the regular, and it's so funny to talk like meme pages, because I got called a meme page the other day. The meme page community was very tight knit. There was like 4 or 5 big pages, and I started getting nasty hate. You're buying followers. You're way too fast. You're not an OnlyFans model. How are you growing so fast? And I never wanted to be cocky and say, well, most of these guys' pages aren't funny, but that really was. I think I was relating to the guys that would relate to me, and that's probably the majority. The guys that just want to do the fucking job. They don't want to get involved in politics. They want to put bad guys in jail. They want to have dark humor in the locker room, and that's what my memes were hitting, and it just seemed to take off. And I always mixed in some like making fun of the like Subaru looking cop females, and that would catch into the civilian group, because if you just make them about admin, briefing, car chase, who in the real world is going to understand
you've
that?
Niched your audience.
So
to a
I
small
kind
spot.
of reached out and made some funny ones that would touch, like making fun of female cops that would drive Subarus and making the lesbian joke. So it kind of like grew, and it just exploded from, 0 to like 50,000 followers in like a few months.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit, this is crazy. So it was like I never expected it to go where it did. And then, fast forward, I started seeing monetary options with merch sales, and
stickers of the memes.
Yeah, that's so like it went from May. I started at May of 2023.
Okay.
May 23. Yeah, it was right when I was getting ready to get demoted, and then the following May of what year is this? 26, 24. I started getting serious with the merchandise,
merch stuff,
and I made a fake store. But remember, I'm still working, so everything has to be. I made a fake address. I used my buddy's address in Edgewater, Florida. I had a dude get a P.O. box in Maryland. I'm like the mafia. I'm like branching out this company, going, none of it can, God damn, I'm like, none of it can come back to me. So I'm like, this has to be in your name. This has to be in your name. So I got like 3 guys involved, the address here, name there. And then I started like designing stickers and made a website. I'd use a fake name on a website. And this is when Biden starts twisting the rules of the IRS really hard on PayPal
and all that.
And now I'm got like, how do I get a PayPal without my real name? Like it was just a nightmare.
You got to like provide your social, all kinds of stuff.
So now I'm like mid-business going, if anybody finds out I'm making these off-color jokes about use of force and all this, I'm going to get fired.
Yeah.
So I was like doing the memes, doing that, dodging people thinking it was me, and then trying to run a business all at the same time. And it was pretty stressful.
That's got to be a lot of stress. So, and that's what, like, why were people thinking it was you? Well, because a lot of stuff was pointed at your agency.
Yes. It was just not, it wasn't directed at my agency, but obviously I talk a certain way. If you're around me every day, if we work together and you started seeing stuff that was specific about the captain did this, you're like, wait a second, our captain just did something. That's what it was happening. And then I was slipping up. Like I'd be at SWAT training and dudes would be sending me the memes and I have to like act like I'm surprised, like, oh, that is funny. But then a couple of times I like accidentally opened my phone and it was the Copville page.
It was your meme.
It was my Copville Instagram open, or my alerts are going off and guys are like, look, I'm like hiding my phone. I'm like, dude, I can't have anybody know. I only told 3 people on earth. My wife knew, my buddy Christian knew, and my buddy Nick knew. And I'm like, these are the only 3 people I trust enough to tell. And then the guy that I ended up having a business partner in Maryland, and I filled him in and said, okay, I'm going to start, I need you to help me with designs. But it was definitely stressful, and guys are accusing me, and people are, oh, you see that Copville meme? And I'm like, yeah, that's just crazy, dude. Like trying to like act like it's not me. It was difficult. It was difficult.
It's just funny because like I get sent the memes by like firemen or different guys that I know. I'm like, I know him, right? Like he's like at the top of my algorithm anyways because he's a friend. So like I already see it. So like but yes, I appreciate you laughing at me and you're helping his algorithm anyways by sending it.
Yeah, it was wild, man. It was a wild time.
What a time, man. But like, how do you get the creative, bro? Because you'll be talking in a group chat with us, and then I'll look, and it's like 15 seconds ago this video and meme got
autism. It's so I can't.
But I mean, and like the creativity is just I can pull funny jokes out, and like I'm not saying like in person you're not saying you're not that funny, but like how are you pulling this shit out of your ass?
That's where I
'cause
think people are going to think a difference of seeing me. When you meet me, I don't think you like when we go to Justice X, we go to that. I think a lot of people are going to think this guy's going to be a fucking complete clown or he's going to act very mature. I don't. It's my brain. It's the immature brain. I think that I filter that out so that it doesn't come out, and I just laugh to my like in there. There's shit I want to say all the time, and I'm just like, God, if I say this, everybody's gonna be fucking nuts. So,
are you a Gemini?
no, I'm Taurus.
Right, okay.
It's I get I death scroll and I quickly see a meme or see a video and I'm like, oh, I can associate that with use of force, or I can associate that with like female cop, or I can associate, and it just pops in my head, and then I'll save it, and I'll just go to my save files and then it'll go, there it is, and I'll screenshot, boom, boom, put it in my
and then you save them if you may not have time or you're whatever, and then when like later when you've got the creative bug or something, and it's just like, all right, let me just create 5 of them, and then those are going to sit in the bank, and then I'm just going to fucking drop them on those fuckers. And it's just like you'll match up the music the right way, and
that's
it's like
where
the
I
right
think people
song
got
comes on.
off was like, I didn't ever want to say I'm cocky, and I'm not cocky, but guys were like, oh, what, you just think you're funny. It was like, but you don't understand. It sounds so stupid that it's memes. But yes, all of it goes together. The song always goes with life is a highway. It'll be a car getting pitted. It'll be so the song about drugs will go with the lyrics about shooting. It's like, it very rarely will I just throw one up now. And it sounds dumb. It makes money now, so I guess it doesn't sound as dumb. At the time though, it was like very serious, but it wasn't a lot of process. I joked that I'm autistic. I have obviously ADD, some type of condition, and my brain fires very fast. And in that world, I just see something. I go, oh, dude, I got that caption. I'll save it, and then I'll look at it, and then I'll read it by my wife, and she'll be like, no. But I find the ones that I put zero thought into always do the best. I'll make one. I'll be laughing at it for 3 hours. This is going to be a banger, and they'll get like 4,000 views in an hour. And I'm like, and then I'll be like up, and it's like 2 million, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like it just.
But so like, all right, so there was a thing like where I'm going to geek on social media stuff now for a minute. Like when edits came out for Instagram, and they actually explained to you, if you create a reel in edits, we are going to boost it for free for you. I feel like they almost see that, like there's like a little bit of like the fucking what's the stuff, metadata. There's like metadata in there that says it took him 30 seconds to create this one versus he's been holding on to this one for 4 days and has sent it via SMS to 4 people to like test it. So that one we're going to kill, but we want these idiots making 30-second content because something might be real raw and too raw, and it might go on fire. I don't know.
That. You just gave me a great idea. I didn't even think of that because I only use edits for very few. Most of mine are screen record, the meme app I use, and I go in the Instagram story, I overlay my logo onto it, download it, shape it, and then put it up. But now I realize when I do use edits, it does keep better statistics. It gives you the data. This is your, so like the one I was just making before we started was in edits because it's over. If they're over a minute, I have to use edits because your story only records a minute.
Right.
So if they're like 20 seconds, 30 seconds, 45, I use my story on Instagram to put the overlays on and save it. If it's longer, like the one I'm doing right now, it's in edits. But I guess I should just start using edits just to save it one time real quick.
Yeah.
And then just pump it.
Like people don't fucking care about this. I'm sorry. But yeah, like with my reels, I'll cut them up on Final Cut Pro and get it all set off of this podcast. But then when I'm done with it and I've got the whole AI thing put in and the captions and stuff like that, I put that video into edits
and just save it.
And then I put the end, I have like a bumper that shows Donut Shop Podcast. I put that, so I combine that. Good so idea. A little bit of work went in on edits.
Excellent idea.
That's my way of trying to feed it.
All the statistics are kept by Instagram on edits, and it alerts you.
Yeah.
I'll get an alert that says this reel you made on edits is doing better than most.
You just got 500 likes, and it's edits telling me that I got 500 likes.
Great idea. I didn't even think about that.
So yeah, it's something to think about. And hey, whatever.
Or just be funny.
Yeah, or just be funny, or make good reels like Tyler, our guy. Where the hell is Tyler? I don't even know. We're here in the Counterculture studio. Of the studio. I'm trying to think of names of ways. It's obviously an indiscriminate building because we don't need fans banging on the doors and stuff
Homeless
like that.
People.
We've had fucking people trying to sell candy bars, like walking down through. I mean, because it's not the greatest neighborhood, it's not the worst neighborhood, but
We've had some people walk in the door.
just
They serve lawsuits here, all kinds of stuff.
did you get served?
We got served here, yeah.
So you guys actually did finally get served.
Yeah, they got served. I'm called Mike that didn't get sued. I didn't get served.
Okay.
Company got served here, and Tyler got served here.
Okay.
They came in the door and took pictures and threw it on the table and all that.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because Tyler's like, I'm not taking it. And the lady's like, well, it's here.
Have you not seen this on TV? So that's allegedly a former Navy SEAL that allegedly says that he
was defamed,
killed someone and was defamed. So yeah, that's always big news. But so all right, so I'm trying to think if I have any other questions about like the technique of creating a meme. I don't know if you want to let out secrets.
No, it's just that's really it. I look at stuff that can apply to the job. Obviously, famous movie scenes work good. I stay away from the cartoon. I know some guys use like a lot of cartoony stuff. I think that people like don't see the cartoony stuff as fun. Like guys will use SpongeBob and use certain ones. I stick to usually videos. Trump's like State of the Union. I was just lazy. Like anything he does, he was like when he was up there pointing to the other side. My wife's like, rewind it, do a meme. And I'm like, that's where I don't really flourish.
Okay.
Like if you see something like, I'll be like the one I do, but then sometimes it does. There was a game, football game this year where I think it was the Jets and somebody won right at the end of the game, and the Jets took the lead and then immediately lost it on like the kickoff. Yeah. And the coach from the Jets was like high stepping down the sideline, and I was like, I rewound it right. Yeah. I rewound it. I was like, within 10 seconds, I'm like, when when Big Sarge approves your pursuit or something. Yeah. Like I see stuff like that, and I'm like, oh, that's great. Or like UFC is always good for like the stare downs of Alex Pereira, or some of that stuff that happens. The other night, some dude stood on the other guy's back in the middle of the fight. I'm like, oh, I got that.
Oh yeah, he like kind of jumped and like tiptoed on him.
Yeah, and then like Chandler fought Oliveira, and he was on Oliveira's back, and Oliveira kept doing like the Oliveira was on Chandler's back, and he kept like getting up to his feet and then like jumping backwards, and I was like making fun of use of force.
Yeah.
So some of them are like that, but most of the time it's just death scrolling. I see something that applies, throw it together. Sometimes instant, sometimes it just sits in my saved, and then I keep a bunch saved, and I just scroll. And then, ironically, where we sit tomorrow is the 1 year anniversary of me losing the first big page when I lost.
So how many followers?
I was at 135,000 followers. I got bagged by Glock for making a knockoff Glock logo, and I got copyrighted. And I woke up to my like 3 billion messages on my phone. My business partner's like, dude, are you alive? Are you okay? And I'm like, what the fuck's he talking about? I'm like, no, I'm fine. He's like, the page is gone. And I'm like, stop.
So you might have offed yourself after it.
Open, and I'm like, the Copville was suspended, and I'd already been on thin ice with some comments in the red boxes, and
okay.
They zapped it. And I remember driving over here. That was the first time I met Reagan, and I drove over here, and now they had all the jokes because I had a backup page that had the current page, 3,000 followers.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there, I go from 135,000 followers to 3,000 followers on a backup page, and I'm fighting with Instagram, trying to get the page back, and they denied it, and I walked in and so 1 year ago, I started fresh at 3,000, and then...
Yo, what's up, everybody? I want to let you know I have a new website format. Same website, donutshoppodcast.com, but this time I'm running it through Shopify. Make it much easier to purchase items because aside from the hats that I have up there, Donut Shop Podcast, PVC hats, the blue line snapback, laser mesh, nice and clean on the inside, comfy hats. I have some other swag, t-shirts, can koozies, just some other stuff that I put up there. I'm running the website through Shopify, and so it'll make it real easy for you guys to go on and purchase some stuff and support the show. So thanks for tuning in and following the show, and don't forget, donutshoppodcast.com. Thanks.
So I lost the page exactly a year ago, and had to start from scratch.
Womp womp.
That was
we're gonna rest in peace. Original Copville.
That's why it's
page.
Copville OG.
Yeah.
I had to add. Obviously, Copville, they removed it completely. You couldn't use it, so I added.
So is there going to be like a little like a wake tomorrow? Like
I don't know. Maybe
it's time to create.
I got all the because it was ironically it was the anniversary of the Dan Crenshaw episode I did on Antihero. But it was like those two guys would not leave me alone. Tyler and
Reagan.
Because Reagan has like 40,000 followers, and Tyler, he's like, oh, this guy with 3,000 followers is here. They just rode my ass. And I was devastated. Think about it. Still at that point, nobody knows No, I was out by then.
No, because you came.
That's right.
You,
I had already been on.
Quote,
I
came
on,
out.
Yeah.
You said
but
you were Mike.
Business was flowing. I made almost 6 figures the first year in sales.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I have this massive business that I'm like, this is great. Imagine just waking up and your business is gone. Like, you can't just go, hey, everybody, go follow Copville again. I got a new page. It's like, I was back in the gutter like a crackhead running around. Hey, man, please share my stuff. Please tell them to follow me. Please. Like, I'm begging again. And that's where it humbled me to where you notice I will always share small pages. I'll always help people out. They ask me. I've never been like, oh, I'm not going to share your stuff on my story, or you got to be a big page. I know what it's like to grow from zero and then have it completely taken away and have to start over again. And it sucks.
Yeah, I mean it's a funny world, I feel like we're like first world problem conversation right now and stuff like that. But I mean that's the business. I mean this is our business now. Like, Mike's a retired cop. I'm now a retired cop, and it's the social media has to be a marketing arm of whatever you're doing. Whether your primary focus, like me, is the podcast and the social media is secondary, but it's used as a marketing, or for you, the social media is primary, and then now you've got multiple podcasts. Yeah. So I'm going to take another break, and then we'll get back and we'll talk about that. Like the podcast is kind of the stuff that you go through, in the podcast. So we'll be right back. What's in the cup? Guys, what's in my cup? Blackout Coffee Company. We joined up with them. I've been drinking it and I enjoy it, and I think you may enjoy it as well. So you can go over to our website and click the link, or you can just go to their website, blackoutcoffee.com, and use our coupon code to get 10% off. The code is DSP10. So go over, check it out. We're back. So we were talking about the podcast philosophies and stuff. Like, I've got different style of podcasting than Mike does, and just like meme pages, just like any kind of social media content. And we were talking about earlier, a 30-second meme that he creates might soar to the moon versus one that you've spent a half hour comparing opinions and stuff like that. Same thing goes for like podcasts. People will send me messages and be like, man, the way that your podcast looks and stuff, it looks great. Okay, yeah, but it's going out. But then sometimes it's really more the content of what's on there. And to what, like what our group kind of talks about sometimes, and being like the argumentative, or you've got to have differing opinions, even if you don't necessarily fully believe the differing opinion, you've got to debate it and you've got to argue it to create conversation. That's where sometimes I lose it, where I might be more focused on making it look pretty, and then the content's just kind of, it's just a meh conversation, just some guy telling about an ice cream story or something like that. So it is what it is, that's the thing. But you have no problem with doing that. And you've got several podcasts or live streams on the network where you talk about, and the same thing, you beat up on people, even on Instagram memes and social media. You've got no problem with that. The banging on the drum of things that you want to see better. Like, let's talk philosophy of policing, and we can talk generationally. We kind of worked in somewhat of the same generation. You were a little bit before me, and it's been said in the past that like the early 2000s was kind of the end of old policing. There was like a transition in the 2007, 8 to 12, and then really from like maybe 2012, it's just gone in a different direction.
Correct.
For better or for worse. And for me, working in that, I saw a lot of that. We're good friends with Jerry Worms that started way before, and it has been made through your page to be somewhat of a social media presence, or an idol to be worshipped maybe. And like, what do you say about, like what's going on in policing today?
So, yeah, I come from, I started in 99 as a dispatcher coming out of the military, did my year in dispatch waiting to go to the academy. And when I started in 01, 02, the dope game was crazy. And back then we would choke crack out of people's mouths.
Yeah.
Not even on video. and they would get convicted of tampering with evidence. We would take them to jail. We'd rip the crack out of their mouth if we could recover it. I was swabbing guys' mouths with business cards, choking them, removing it. Judges, I went and met with the judges. They're like, hey, you're saving this guy's life. He's going to eat cocaine. Completely acceptable to just put a chokehold on somebody, grab them on the throat, take them to the ground, rip the crack out of their mouth, take them to jail. That was 2004, 5, 6, 7. We were going in like 8, 9, and then somewhere in there, it started to shift. And now I think go do that now. Go grab some guy by the throat because he's got drugs in his mouth. You're going to get charged with like excessive use of force or attempted murder or illegal chokehold in it. What I got charged with. So my problem is that maybe it wasn't the best way, and everybody I put my hands on deserved it. I will say that. I stand by that. But we allowed that to be okay, and we moved the bar. It seems to keep moving where more and more is acceptable to where, like today's episode, we talk about cops getting pelted with ice in New York City. It's like it's gotten so far the other direction that it's acceptable to like throw stuff at police. And
cops at some point soon they're gonna be the ones getting chokehold, and we're just supposed to like wait, and then your partner's gonna be there going, do I have anything on my vest or belt that I'm allowed to use in this level of abuse towards? Meanwhile, you're still getting choked.
Yeah, it should never have got to that point, and that's where I look at administration and soft administration, or we lost the guys, and I watched them go out of the administration. I watched them leave. And there were guys that were, when I made SWAT, I always put an asterisk. A guy named John Burdock was a flat top, gray haired Marine. He sounded just like the guy from Full Metal Jacket. He was one of the meanest people to be around. Good dude most of the time. He was a good shooter. He taught you good things. He was just that old school drill sergeant type guy. And I was the last person to make the SWAT team under him. And immediately you could see the difference in the next 2 or 3 years of who made SWAT or how the tryout was run when he left. Mm-hmm. That was the same type of mentality as when you came in, your own squad policed you way more than any admin needed to police you. You didn't handle your calls. You got pulled up on by 3 or 4 dudes. They said, hey, dude, you fucking blow off one more call, we're going to have big problems. This is in your zone. We see you off the mat. We see you over here eating lunch at 2 zones over. Like, that ain't acceptable. And you didn't go, fuck you, or go tell. You go ahead and go tell your sergeant that the guys are holding you accountable for not being, you're going to be in real trouble. Yeah. It kind of policed itself within the ranks. And that led to the same type of policing on the streets where, was there guys that use excessive force? Yeah, all that stuff happened bad. But I think that is so small and it's been so overexposed, and the Rodney King incidents that were blown up, they were terrible. But for the most part, that type of policing also policed the community in the very same way. And it was kind of status quo where everybody had respect for the police. Even if you didn't like them, there was a mutual respect. There was mutual respect in the shifts. As we softened up and guys like that retired and these college degree guys came in and these new philosophies of leadership and all these fancy classes and these initials in your email and all these little things you went to, that tried to replace the boots on the ground, handle it amongst yourselves mentality. And that's where I think we shifted to what I consider now like power DMS cops. You don't learn by getting yelled at or going in the hood and grabbing 3 or 4 dudes and shaking them down and getting their IDs. You learn by sitting at a computer going, okay, if you ever run into a guy, you're supposed to do this, choose C. If you ever run into a guy that does this, choose B. When I started, 2004, I got dropped off at a hood gas station in the middle of the hood, and my FTO said, you can come back in the car when you have 4 names and date of birth. Yeah. Real names and not J or Q or little Ronnie. 4 names, date of birth, you can come back. And he drove away.
Play the name
game.
He
drove away.
You worked the name game.
Okay, here I am. Hey, excuse me, sir. Hey, fuck you, bitch. And I'm like, oh, God. Like, that was real. And then at some point we lost that. And now we have what we have, and it's unfortunate.
I love the name game. My guy that retired same day that I did, he ended up being a lieutenant, but when he was an officer on midnights, and I was like a trainee, it was one of that like on midnights, it was like every guy had a class that he put you through, and it wasn't like, so I had my training officer, but there was all the guys on the squad, and they all had their own specialty or class. So it's like the one guy you got thrown in his car, like my training officer would be like, all right, hey, you're riding with Robbie tonight. He's got a DUI. So you're going to go down to the tank. And that was honestly the only time I ever went down there because I never did DUIs. But
I have just as many, maybe one.
But I got exposed to it on mids. Then, it was like, hey, go to this guy, Mike, and he's out with this guy right now, and Mike's going to pull you up. And so there's a dude walking on the street. And so Mike's like, Justin, I'm going to teach you the name game. So, and that's what he called it, the name game. And it's like, the guy's giving you a fucked up name, and you got to keep talking to people. And that's the communication key that is lost on some officers now, is that the communication techniques of talking to somebody, and not just, sir, give me your name. Sir, your name. Sir, give me your name. You got to understand just little things like, what's your government name? You have a driver's license in the state of Florida? Like, you got to learn how to rope them into something. Yeah, I got a driver's license. Okay, so you know that something exists in the computer. So now we're going to work through this, and you got to work. You got to punch at the punching bag in all different directions to get it. Not, I'm talking figuratively, maybe sometimes literally, but you got to get to it, and then you can get to the name, and then that's why you didn't want to give me your name. Ding, 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 guys, we got one.
And it's an art. It's an art, and I'm going to say this to say this. I was, and I'm gonna pat myself on the back for a minute to unpat myself on the back. I was really, really good at that. Yeah. That was the niche I had, was the name game, the gift of gab. At the same time, my fear of being called cocky or self-centered keeps me from ever wanting to go teach it. My wife always says, you should go teach people to do it. And I don't, as much as people think that's how I am, I don't want to be that guy that's like, oh, you're up there telling everybody about this and that. And would it be, maybe, yeah, it would be beneficial, but that would probably be one of my secret, like, internal battles, is as much as people think I am that guy because of the stuff I post and the stuff I say, in the core, I'm very humble, and I don't want to ever be like, oh, this guy thinks he knows everything, he's going to stand up here and teach us. I wasn't good at many things. I was, like I said, I didn't do DUIs. I just had the ability to interact, interpersonal, get people comfortable talking to me, being able to catch lies quick and generate conversation and bounce that around. And I was very successful in doing that. I don't know if you can even teach that all the way, because at some point you have to have that same thing that makes that silly meme. You have to have that off the wall conversation in your head of like, how do I navigate this and where are we going? I'm going to get them to say this. I'm going to get them to say that. And that's all got to happen very fast in your head. Maybe not for everybody, but I say that was probably, if I was going to give myself any credit for being really good at something, I was very good at that. I was very good at being able to get people to feel comfortable talking to me. And it's probably the meme page thing too, because I get a billion DMs and I'm very personable to talk back. I answer everybody. I try to give everybody a really educated or honest answer, but
thoughtful. Yeah.
That's how I learned. And that's what my success was based on, was immediately being able to determine. And you can watch Cops. You watch old Poppy Damiani or Mike up in Passaic County, or Jerry. You can see it. You see exactly what I'm trying to explain to you. You can see Jerry perform and do it. That is kind of a art that not everybody has the ability to kind of like play that savvy game.
Well, and to your point of not wanting to teach it, and I can respect that. It's hard to say I'm going to send somebody to a class and teach them that, because like you said, not everybody has it. Not everybody has that thing. It's almost like as if it was SWAT. Not everybody should be SWAT, and so but classes, any Yahoo can sign up for it. There's no prerequisite necessarily. You don't have to go through a test. It's better taught through the training officer, through the guys on the road, or you work alongside a guy that you're like, bro, Mike, like that, you fucking wizarded that guy.
It was
like,
deep,
what
dude.
did you do? You need and so we have to humble ourselves, the guys that want to learn it or that maybe aren't as good at it, to go up to those guys and girls that you work with and say, bro, I'm going to stare at you a little while. It's no homo. Like, I want to learn this and I want to get better.
And how that went down, and I'll tell a funny story, is when I started, Christian Matheson, I always talk about him. He's one of the best friend throughout my career. And when I say best friend, it's funny. We've been a couple places together throughout our lives. We ended up in the Keys at the same time. I think we ended up on a cruise at the same time in a mass group. But me and him have talked regularly for 20 some years. Never been to dinner. Never been over each other's houses. Very few times. I used to have some parties back in like 08, 09, 07. Yeah. He came over a couple times, but for the most part, we have been just those really close friends. When I started at the sheriff's office, I had 3.5 years at Vero, and I was the outcast. So I come on this shift, I pull up, everybody leaves. And I'm like, okay. So then I'm working the hood too. Come up on another call, they're all 56, sitting there, and everybody drives away. I'm like, all right, I get what's going on here. And then I don't have anybody's number. We had to beep beeps. Nobody gives me their Nextel number. I'm on the shift for like 3-4 weeks. I'm like, none of these for 3 weeks. I'm like by myself. You had to earn it. So like 3 weeks in, we get in a foot pursuit. Black dude with the warrant, Desi Hayes, black dude with the warrant, freaking takes off running, helicopter. We're freaking going crazy. We chase this dude through houses. He ends up, I'm like 2 streets over, but I can see through the clearing and I see him hiding behind a air conditioned. Mm-hmm. So I'm on the radio. I'm like, he's 2 houses to pink. And I'm walking Christian in, the helicopter's up. He catches him, takes him to the jail. I go back to work. I'm sitting there and pulls up. Yeah. He's like, hey man, here's my Nextel number. He gives it to me. And he's like, talk for like 5 minutes. And next thing you know, me and him for the next like 6 months, I think I got switched shifts like 6 months later, terrorized the hood together. Every white dude that pulled, this is before the cell phone really, every white dude in the hood buying drugs. We're running cars off the road. We're illegally chasing cars. Yeah. When I say illegally, we're illegally the pursuit policy. Yeah. We're running cars off the road into trees and then calling it out like, hey, this car just crashed. We don't know what's going on. Guys got drugs. Yeah. We're just doing crazy shit. And we become best friends.
Did we become best friends?
I kind of took that to the next level where I kept logs of everything. I kept reports in, not reports that get sent in, but I kept folders on my desktop. All the intel in the hood. This guy's hanging out with this guy. Yeah. So then I start doing it. I become a vet, and a new guy comes, and his name's Bellafleur. Really good friend of mine. He's been on an episode, and he comes pulling up day one. I'm sitting at a park. He pulls up. I roll my window up and I drive away. And then a couple of days later, he pulls up. I see him on the map coming. As soon as I see him bring the corner, I take off and leave. I'm like, he's going to get the same treatment. We end up on a call. We got down. I was like, hey, meet me back at the park. And we became like thing. And that's like not just I wouldn't do that to everybody, but I knew he was sent. Sense. He was sent by Paul Newborn. My friend passed away he's on back there on my wall last March. He was my buddy. He sent Bellafleur knowing how I was going to treat. It was like an internal FTO. He was on his. He's like, go talk to Dilks, and he's like, all right, I'm gonna go talk. And Paul calls me, and he's like, Belly's coming to see you. I'm like, motherfucker, come to see me, and I drive away. So it was like a predetermined program, and that's how we kind of treated him. And now and then I turned him into it. We turned him into a cop. He did the same thing in narcotics. So it was like that inner FTO, like respect, earn your way through is what I talk about. That's the old dog game. That's the old game of respect. It doesn't work for everybody, and that's where the gift of gab and the knowledge comes in. You're not going to do that to some really insecure other cop. You're going to, all right, dude, get over here. Let me try to help. I know you're not going to deal good with me driving away. I'm going to handle that one differently. Yeah. But for the guys you knew, so it was like you kind of balance that out.
There's going to be your cops. And so those are the ones that like a lot of us are trying to battle against, is those ones that are now like, if that guy turned around and went to the sergeant and said, they're bullying me or they're giving me a problem. It's not it. Look, we want to like everybody, but you just can't, because it's a world where you've got to have somebody battling right there next to you, either mentally trying to question a bad guy or physically trying to take somebody into custody or take them to the hospital or something like that. You got to know that this person's going to have your back and going to work with you and going to roll with you. And if they're going to turn around and just run to a supervisor and complain that you hurt their feelings or whatever, then we don't want to work with you. We're going to make the day more difficult.
And you need to, like I said, I wasn't an FTO. I didn't become an FTO until well after that. I waited till like 14 or 15 years in to even take a training, but I was like an unofficial FTO. I was always categorized as that guy, and I'm sure just from dealing with me, I was always that guy that knew everything, but always did something stupid. Yeah. To like not get promoted or not get that next position. Like it was like, he's going good. Oh, he made a TikTok. Yeah. Or he's going good, and he missed court. Yeah. He's going good, and then he fucking did something stupid,
Yeah.
chased a car. It was never anything malicious. It was just always something like always a little bit. So, but I was like the unofficial like street FTO, and there was a guy like that for me. Scott Spizzato was a guy like that for me. He taught me those same things. So like when a new guy would come on the shift and I'd see him, I remember the first night I met my buddy Louis Avila, he starts chasing a car outside. He goes to get like Chipotle or something outside the hood. He worked in the hood, and he ends up getting in a left, right pursuit and crashes. And the car crashes into a carport in the hood, and it hits an old, completely sealed well pump that had been like completely, it doesn't pump the house anymore.
Right.
Water shooting like 70 feet up in the air. This car has crashed through some old lady's house. I get there and I'm like, where's the bad guy? He's like, I don't know. He took off running. I never caught him. And I'm like, and then like the dude's girlfriend and the kid are in the car still. And I'm just sitting back laughing. I'm like, like 13, I'm just laughing. And he's like, Mike, what do we do? I'm like, hey, no, you got to call the sergeant over here, man, and you got to show him your fucking work over here, man. And he's like, oh, dude. But he's like, and I know he's not going to get, like, he's going to get a talking to. He, like, didn't really do anything wrong. He was chasing a car. He wasn't, like, in pursuit. But it's like, just stepping back and having that moment. Like, I know this kid is my guy. Like, he's going to be a good cop. We're going to get a lot of stuff done. But here's your break it in. I'm like, hey, man, you got to go on the radio and tell Sergeant, what am I telling him? Like, tell him the fucking car crashed to a house, man. I'm like, you got water flying. There's an old lady. She's like, what is going on? There's water like in her front yard going. I'm like,
there's visual evidence,
dude,
bro. You just call it out.
So good. I'm like, hey, man. I'm like, it's time to grow up today, man. I'm like, you're a cop, man. You're the police. It's like, call the sergeant. So the sergeant shows up. What is that? And I'm just laughing. I'm like, but at that moment, I go, there's my guy. There's my new guy. Like, I know he's one of us. And then, you go meet with him 3 hours later when hey, come on over here, dude. Let's talk, man.
Exactly.
Like,
and
let's talk.
And then you run through everything.
Like, this is what
with
happened.
Him. You kind of break it all down.
Yeah.
Hey, this is what Sarge is really going to think. Like, like you've stewed on it for an hour and you've stressed yourself out. Don't fucking go eat your gun. It's not going to happen, guy. Like, and so, like that's coming back to the road, like we talked about it earlier. It's like, that's the backbone of it. And I told people when I got kicked out of upstairs that, like, I'm going back to do the job I signed up for, guys. Like, that is the glory of police work, is that you can always just go be a police officer. So guys will get kicked out of CID detective, or you crash a case the wrong way or something like that, and you piss somebody off like I did, and then you back to the road. It's like
the best place to be.
And for me, is like, I'll tell my stuff a little bit. I got called into the lieutenant's office for the first platoon, and then the midnight lieutenant was also there, and they both go, Justin, welcome to the land of guys that have been kicked out of units. And I was all depressed. I'm all sad, and they're like, look, man, let me just go down the list of this whole first squad that you're going to sit on. This guy, Vin. I'm like, they're like, bro, we've all been kicked. Do you think we all thought we would be here today at this point? Like, those guys were about to, like, those lieutenants were about to retire. They're like, do you think I finished my career out as a lieutenant on road patrol? Did not. Yeah. I thought I was going to be an admin lieutenant. I thought I was going to be a special operations lieutenant. Like, and they're like, nope, we got in trouble, kicked out. Welcome back to the land of misfit toys. Yeah. And we're all here with open arms. And it softened me and like the sadness that I felt and whatever. And it's like, these guys they get me, and they all just want to come here, do work. We were all in the shade tree kind of time, but I knew these guys that all had 20 plus years on. I remember when I was new and they all got down and boogied, they all did work. When we had a case that we truly needed to investigate, those guys were all hands on deck. We were all helping each other. We were all doing the real work. So it was a great time. Like, especially towards the end, working day shift and working road patrol and stuff. And we got a lot of probationary young guys. And so, like what we were talking about just now with, like, I'd see them they're about to get ripped, or I know they're going to get ripped by Sarge or whatever. And I'd tell them the same thing. Hey, you just got to call Sarge and tell him what's up. Yeah, dude. Like, we've all been there. Yeah. And I knew, I'm gonna pull up in 56 with you, sit car to car with you, and I'll break it down later, and I'll do that training, that teachable moment later, and tell you, and like, that was the good thing, and that's what people always need to remember with the culture in law enforcement, is like passing down that wisdom and teaching those guys and letting everybody make mistakes. Hopefully, fingers crossed, not life or death mistakes and or career ending mistakes. And you might need to trip them if they're going to make a career ending mistake, but have fun with it. And I think that that's some of what like these podcasts can do. We were told earlier on the broadcast by a communist that these podcasts are not good for mental health and for stuff teaching like what I'm saying, but I think they can be teachable. I think we can teach through that, but it also takes an intelligent person to watch it and go, yeah, I don't want to do that. I don't want to learn from that. Just like we would see on the streets.
Yeah.
You see a guy that's a little too heavy-handed or violates policy one too many times, and you're like, I don't think I want to model my life that way, but I'm going to take this little sliver. So I think that these podcasts have the ability to show younger generations. So I think we can go into just the final segment of like with your meme page, with some of the stuff that you do on social media, like where you attack or you go into the pit bull mode on groups or on agencies with like no vests or like fucked up kits, like messed up, like their magazines are on their vest and their body cam, which is usually hard fixed to the vest. So there's no wiggle room. It's not in a pouch that's going to flap around, or like your radio where you can kind of push it to the side. Like, how are you pulling those magazines out?
It's a failure. And when I look at it, it's if that's where I go back to like the bullying, a joke, like bully cops again and make bullying great again, is there was a time, I had a lieutenant that if you started we got down, he got down, but if you started to get a little wear and tear on your mag pouch, he'd be like, that looks like shit, go change it.
Yeah.
Like military version, like real strict. And when it's just right and everything's kind of worn in, you're like, I don't want nothing new. And he's like, God, dog it. And you can't hide it from him. He's going to see it.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh God. But that somewhere along the line that stopped and we stopped paying attention. So when I go, I did everything backwards. I didn't even go to instructor techniques or firearms instruction until like my 18th year as a cop. Well, now these cops go in their first year. I'm going to be a firearms instructor. And they're like 1 year in their FTOs, like all that backwards stuff. I did everything backwards. I did all the fun stuff, all the being the problem, didn't want to be a supervisor. I did all that stuff first, and then I got into all that stuff late. But so I get on the range as a fire instructor late in my career, and I get guys coming to the range, and they got all that kit. They can't even draw their gun. And I'm like, have you drawn this gun, like, ever? Oh, no, I just set my kit up. And I'm like, you've never, like, at home, like, you have, like, a radio right here, and your gun doesn't fit. So I'm over there, like, bro, what if this guy got in a shooting later on the day or before he got here? So, like, I saw how bad it was. And then they get these new entitled generational kids, dude. They just get upset if you show them almost anything wrong or a different way to do it. And it got like everybody got to the point where we're just like, we're not going to say it anymore. And that's where I look at, would you rather get called out on a page for not wearing your vest, wear it, take one right in the middle of your chest and live, or as you're dying out being like, damn, I wish I had that vest on today. And it just, and you're from South Florida, you know how bad your agency's good. Once you get past you,
well, a lot of Broward, like
Broward's pretty good.
Dade,
Miami-Dade's
County,
out of control.
Out of control.
I just don't understand how you can justify to me. I don't give a fuck how hot it is out, dude. I sweat my balls off.
It's no hotter in Miami-Dade County than in Indian River County. Granted, you might be a little closer to the beach than somebody that's a little more inland.
Don't get it. You see these guys at like Miami Beach PD and all these places, and they got polos on with body cameras on, and they're at disturbances, and I just don't understand. And then the kit setup, it's like you would rather. I'm seeing your picture on the internet because you want to be a social media star. You're taking pictures of yourself. So then you put it out there. It's not like I went in your house and stole your picture or went in your phone and stole. You put it on the internet, and I look and go, your magazines are backwards. Your tourniquet's not staged. Your handcuffs are upside down. Everything's wrong. Nobody at your agency walked by you and went, what the fuck? Or nobody set you up properly?
So I'll push back on the magazines. I understand what you're saying, and we'll get into a little bit of the geeky stuff where if you're, say, what it is your gun should be coming out in your strong hand, and your magazine should be staged to where the rounds can just quickly go right in.
Correct.
Properly.
Correct.
But the biggest thing that I can take away from what you're saying to these people is, have you at least practiced it?
Correct.
Because you posted pictures, because I had strong side, right side, and then in front of me, because there was a period of time, maybe in 2007, where the teachings were put your magazines sideways and in front of your gun, so you only have to reach down to one area or whatever they said.
Somebody came up with an idea. I don't knock that.
There was a training time where, and everybody gets a training officer that's no 40 caliber rounds are the best rounds in the world,
Yes.
and so they preach it like the gospel, and every police department follows suit. So I got into at the time, and this was pre load bearing vests, pre outer vests. This was tuck your shirt in, all that kind of world. And so, I had my mag pouches were sideways because I was a fat body, and they exited towards the belt buckle. And my rounds were down, just, I don't know. That was just the way, but I knew that on the range for qualifications and in drills when we run them, I was the first shot on the range on the entire line. I was the first drawn out shot, and I was the first shot after a reload. So, but that's where, when you say that and those people get defensive, oh no, I can do it. Like, fuck defending yourself to Copville. Defend yourself to yourself and your family, and go, but can I do it? Just like you said,
the mag patches some of those things are negotiable. Like I talk to people and say, like you just said, it's mandatory. We were taught that way. I always default back to competition shooters. And I know we're not in competition, but we're actually in the most important competition, because nobody's shooting back off the competition range. Yeah. Every competition shooter has some setup over here.
Opposite their gun.
And their gun is in their workspace, so you don't have to take your eyes off the target. And back in the day, we did too. We'd look down to reload. There were some other things taught early on, but everything practical now is we put optics on guns so that we're threat focused and both our eyes are on the target. Same thing with a reload. Oh, look at that. You never have to take your, reload, boom, boom, boom. Everything's done in your workspace, so you're not. Now, I will say we used to be told not to look to put our holster back. That's silly now too.
I'm still old school. It
you
grinds
don't, right? I don't either, but that one I can see, because it's like if you shouldn't be the gun shouldn't be going away unless
it's cold
all the way over. Like the body's on the floor, he's not moving. So what is the big deal about like making sure you get it put back right? I was also taught not to, for years and years and years, not to look. What are you looking at there?
Because we get drilled on in the range by red shirts behind us that are yelling at us. So we're like, we must appease, because we couldn't yell back at them. Nowadays, maybe they can, but we couldn't yell back at them. You're not going to yell at a red shirt that was, I was a Marine, even though
there was a lot of things
driver.
we were taught that were incorrect or not efficient, simply because they learned it, they saw it. And you got to remember, that's pre-internet. That's ability to Google something and say, no, you're wrong. That was like, I went to one class where some dude that I have no idea what his qualifications were told me,
retired 40
never
years ago.
look at your holster when you're holstering. Yeah. And you're like, why? I don't know why, but that's what I was taught, so you're going to learn it. So like little things like that. But for the most part, you're right. Is it practical for you? Now, there's always going to be a guy that could take his gun out, shoot upside down with his pinky, and hit every time. Should he shoot like that?
No.
Probably not, but he can. So it's like, what I try to point out is, have you thought about this? And the vest is non-negotiable in my eyes. The vest is non-negotiable. Right. Little tweaks on the kit can be obviously different for everybody, but then have they even thought, like I said, have they thought about why they're even those products? Why is that? Like for some reason, every female seems to have a pair of scissors about this big. Yeah. I get you want to be able to cut the polyester, cut the whatever.
Trauma
but have they really
shooters,
thought about that, or did they just get them because they're pink and big and every other person had? Or have they actually practically trained on what is this going to be like? Seatbelt cutters became a popular thing. Yeah. The window breakers became a popular thing. Yeah. Did we ever practice? Because I remember I bought a cheap one time, and the first window I went to go hit with it didn't work, and I'm like, hey, I paid $9.99 for this thing. It was supposed to work, and it didn't. And it's like, wait, so you're buying all this stuff. Are you practicing with it? Just like a gun. I mean, I will die on my wife. I watch her every single day do 30 to 40 dry fires, draw dry fires every single shift. It's non-negotiable. Yeah. Every day. There are people who probably haven't done 30 or 40 in their lifetime. Yeah. And every single shift, and I got in the habit. She got me in the habit of doing, where's my mags? Boom, 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 all day long. Bang, where my mags at? Okay, that's there. Taser's on, taser's there. But like, I just got in that habit. And there are people that are dancing and making videos and that haven't even practically thought, Where's my gear? How do I get it out? Is it coming out? Why do
Or
I have these scissors?
as you feature on your page, and our friend Dominic Izzo as well, you know, the get dressed with me, but you don't have dry fire with me, you know.
If you were really getting dressed with me to show,
Yeah.
like, hey, look, I put my magazines here because I couldn't shit on you. If you were actually showing cops, this is why I keep my magazines here. This is why I keep these scissors here. This is why my tourniquet is staged this way. What am I going to say? You're showing cops the right way to,
and it's
fucking
I mean,
great.
You're giving advice, a great opportunity for content for those people, you know, like tell a story when you pulled those, say, pink shears, like
Yeah.
you said, out of your vest.
Why
and
do you have them?
Cut a seatbelt or cut some pants or whatever. Because to your point, like with like the window breaker, I bought a new one because I had one of the cheap freebie ones that they give away. Obviously, the seatbelt cutter is going to work because it's just a razor blade. But the window punch, my wife and I were in the park. We were trying to get our dogs more social. So there was people playing kickball in the park or whatever. So we just kind of tailgated, set up some chairs, and we were teaching our dogs, like, don't bark at people just because they're walking. And all of a sudden I hear this lady's like, oh no, I hear her just rapping on a window. Bah, bah, bah. And I'm like, there was a party, and I'm like, they're fucking trying to break a window of a car? Like, is this like, they're not burglarizing it because there's 5 people around it, and the woman had locked her kid in the car. And so I was like, oh, and Lupe goes, we have a window break in the car. And I go, oh yeah, let's go. So I grabbed it and I went over there, and they're like looking at me, and I'm like, hey, yeah. And so I go, look, like, don't do the front windshield, not the windshield, but they're at the front driver's side window. And I was like, it's an expensive one to fix. I go, it's 70 degrees out and it's not direct sunlight. Your kid's going to be okay. Let's get calm. And I go, let's go to this back jalousie window and let's try and pop this. Bro, that fucking thing took like 8 things, and all it did was make like little holes in it. And I'm like, motherfucker,
Yeah,
dude.
like,
So we did that, and then the dude homie with a tire iron that had been just banging on the window and it wasn't doing anything. I go, all right, give me that tire iron. And then I just, like, from the sharper end, I just popped it out. And I go, all right, I'm not reaching in there and cutting my arm up. It's up to you guys. It's your kid. And they were like, oh. And so she came over and thanked me. I'm like, and so then, but I thought, I'm getting a better fucking punch for, you know, because God forbid it's me and I need to get out of this car or X, Y, and Z. So I got my buddy Chris Kouras from Good Dude Concepts. I got the BRB, which is the gangster ass one that basically cuts glass and stuff. So I got that, and then I got some other hammer type ones because it's
that's a bad time to find. And I bought it in a rollover crash in a canal.
Yeah,
I hit the window with we had a Halligan, an actual
in the
regular, and I hit that fucking window like 6 times with this big ass, and it was just flexing.
Yeah.
Ended up breaking finally, and I crawled in and pulled this chick out. She rolled over upside down canal, and I'm thinking, I can't have this again. Like, so that's why I bought it. Like, I'm like, I need people will buy these though and be like, what is that? I don't know, whatever. To break some window. Well, have you tried it? I went to the junkyard after that. I took it when I was like, okay, let me see if this works. We had junk cars that we brought out to the range to shoot. Let's test this thing. Yeah. That's the seriousness of this job. And to downplay that is like I said, you can go back to the vest or any of this equipment. You don't want to learn the day that it's time to use it. Like when you see people holding the rifle wrong and you're like, you don't even know how to hold the rifle. What happens when you're like in a real active shooter and somebody's firing back at you and you don't even know? So it's like you have all this equipment, you're getting ready. Do you even know how to use it? And those videos would be you couldn't knock a get ready with me if it actually showed the practical application, use, and procedure for each piece of equipment. It would be no different than a guy standing at the gun range showing you how to stand and how to hold a gun properly. Right. But when it's just to look pretty and put your hair up and have lip gloss and pink nails and pink handcuffs, and that, I mean, it's
and we're talking about the guys. Yeah. No, but yeah, exactly. You know, and we say that in like the knife community. Like, I'm a knife collector and stuff. It's like guys will do, show videos of how beat up their knives are, and they're like, use your shit. Like, don't just buy these safe queens. Yeah. Like, you don't want to buy all this tech gear for your AR and add it to it and then realize that your gun now weighs 15 pounds and you're sitting there on a perimeter spot during an active shooter, or you're running through a building after somebody and you're carrying a 15 to 20 pound plate plus probably a thicker carrier.
What about, did you test it against a helmet? I'll be honest with you. I made SWAT and I did the same thing. I bought a different sling opt about, and then I went up to put it to my helmet, and I'm like, I can't see this stock on my shoulder properly. And I'm like, well, I got to get another one.
Yeah.
So
you can't cheek well. Yeah.
No, that's what I'm saying. I bought this. Somebody gave me one of the gun companies, like, hey, try this cool, like you pushed a button and the stock shot out. It was some like go-go gadget stock. And I'm like, oh, that looks so cool. Yeah. Put it on and I go to seat it. I'm like, I can't get a platform with this rifle. And I'm like, thank God I did this at the range.
Yeah.
But I can see a guy, and I'm probably guilty, but just bought it and been like, hey, look at this cool thing. And then you go into a real shooting and you're like, fuck, I can't even seat my rifle on my shoulder to get a good round off. And you pop some dude's skull. That's not the right guy you're shooting at.
Yeah.
So that's not the time to learn that the gear doesn't work or to test it. So that's my platform itself when I call them out. You know, you're out of touch is another good one I hit the admin with when the admin is so out of touch. Like one lady, the Tampa chief, doesn't even have the deputy chief, doesn't have magazines in her fucking magazine pouches.
Display pouches.
I found a sheriff like that, a Gilchrist County sheriff, I believe, like that. Like, I'm like, come on, guys. Like, you're supposed to be leaders. But that's kind of the bullying old school, like, just don't play dress up. This isn't a dress up game. This is a real serious shit.
Yeah, because you never know, like, and that's I always thought about it driving a marked patrol unit home. Like, it's like, hey, dude, like, I'm not taking my vest off and just because I'm going home. Like, I'm not a taxi cab. They don't know that I'm off. Yep. You know, like, you're not off. You see a rollover, you see a car chase or some people on the highway fighting or something like that because they got in a car accident. You got to jump out. You don't fucking just drive by.
One of my favorite things, and is when I walk in somewhere now in Vero. And they see me, and they don't have their vest on. Yeah. And they know who I am now. Yeah. I saw a guy at the gas station last week, city cop, and I looked at him, and I was like, went like this, and he was like, driving, because I watched him get out of the gas station, get in his car, and I'm like, you're lucky I can't get a picture, dude, because I'll post your ass. I post locals. I'm like, hey, man, like.
You got to get some of my Meta sunglasses, and then you just tell it.
It was hilarious. I'm like, look at that bitch with no vest on.
You just point, and then you just go, hey, Meta, take a photo.
Our place is crazy. Yeah. Like, you know, we've had 3 or 4 shootings in our Walmart. We have 2 Walmarts in our county, which obviously most county, probably got 50. Yeah. We have 2 Walmarts, and one of our Walmarts is responsible for like 4 gunfights with the cops. I will see our community affairs unit stand out in front of that Walmart all day doing some event with no vest on. And I'm like, they're maybe not going to walk up to you and shoot you, but we already know historically, like 4 people have come off the interstate and ended up here and gotten a fucking shooting. And you're not going to wear your vest. And then you're standing with the sheriff who it's a violation of the policy. It says right in the policy, everybody under command staff has to have a vest on. And there they all, and I'm just like, whatever, dude. Yeah. Like, whatever. Like, I care more about your life than you do. That's nonsense.
Yeah. So that speaks to it. You know, the bullying culture. It wasn't necessarily. I mean, yeah, okay, everybody kind of enjoyed it sometimes, but it was passive aggressive, if we're gonna say it. I used to get called passive aggressive, but it was just from being snarky or whatever, trying to tell somebody in a joking manner rather than just flat out calling them out to their face every time I saw something. I got called passive aggressive a lot, but it's just. You're just trying to express to somebody in a way to say, hey, come on, man, unfuck yourself. Yeah. Fix yourself.
It's nothing I haven't done. And I put all my business out there. I made TikToks like a fucking moron. I've done dumb shit. I walked around without a vest on at some point in my career. But then I learned the reasons why not to. And you try to help people not make the same mistakes. Kind of like we were talking about this morning with court, ended up in court, watching your own videos in court, watching yourself. Like, I've been down that road, and it's like your parents trying to tell you don't do this, and they're completely right. You don't want to listen, but that's a different world. This is the most dangerous job, and it's like you have people showing you the right way, showing you how dangerous it is. Every video on the internet we see now that these guys post on these training sites, you see a cop getting stabbed, you see a cop getting shot. It's not like we're making it up or we're guessing. Yeah. It's all the data is now available,
it's evidence.
And you still make an active choice to not physically, mentally, and equip yourself in the right way. It's just mind-boggling to me. Crazy. It's mind-boggling to me.
All right, bro. Well, I think that's a good spot to roll it through, and obviously wish you all the luck. Plus, since we're joined up in a lot of this stuff, I wish you all the luck.
Yeah.
And thank you for coming on the podcast. And you already have a hat, so I can't offer you a free hat.
I already have one, man. Appreciate you finally having me on.
Thanks, man.
All right, man.
All right, everybody. We'll see you later. Bye.
Calling all units. Donut Shot has a fresh dozen. Go ahead and take a 1040.